Hello, I'm Jeff Simprich, State Conservationist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service here in South Dakota. Thank you for taking a few minutes of your time today to listen to this video. I and several other partners are going to speak to you about Field Office of the Future. Joining me today is Tina DeHaye, the President of the South Dakota Association of Conservation Districts Employees Association. Also here's Bill Smith, the Conservation Program Administrator with the South Dakota Department of Agriculture, the Division of Resource Conservation and Forestry. And finally, Franny Fritz, President of the South Dakota Association of Conservation Districts. We want to take just a few minutes today and talk about where we've been, where we are today, and where we hope to go in the future with this effort. From the beginning, it was a partnership effort, one that really tried to focus on how we're going to deliver our conservation programs and our technical assistance into the future for the residents of South Dakota. We tried not to focus a lot on the four walls and the roof, but we tried to focus more on getting those programs on the land, getting our technical assistance on the land. Many other people joined us along the way. South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources was at the table, the South Dakota Conservation Commission, and the South Dakota Department of Game, Fish, and Parks. And you'll hear throughout the day, there were others that came in and helped and provided us input.
3 key processes were used to gather input. The first was questionnaires provided to each NRCS field office, Conservation District Office, and Conservation District Board. The second process was facilitated sessions involving select NRCS district conservationists, Conservation District employees, and Conservation District Board members. They focused on changes in agriculture, needs of producers, types of services producers want, and the delivery system. The third method of gathering input was a meeting of about 20 groups or key conservation partners from across the state focused on conservation information, technology, and services, including the best delivery methods.
From the public information that was gathered, there were 6 key points that were identified. First, partnerships are critical for promoting and implementing conservation measures. Second, there's a need to form new partnerships as well as expand and strengthen existing partnerships. Third, it is important to provide technical assistance to customers directly on a one-on-one basis. Fourth, there's a need to streamline documentation. This documentation streamlining will allow people to spend more time in the field assisting customers than spending in the office. Fifth, there's a need to increase public awareness. And finally, there is a need to eliminate program duplication.
Okay, from the key points that Bill just shared with you, I want to talk now a little bit about how that ended up providing us a vision for conservation delivery. First of all, we talked about more focus on expanding and improving our customer relationships and our customer service, really with the key point of maintaining a local presence everywhere across the state. We talked about figuring out ways that we could actually focus a little bit less on the four walls and the roof. In fact, I think we'll actually look for ways that as partnerships we can actually reduce our fixed costs on office space. If we can find ways to do that, those savings will allow us to focus more resources on staff, really more boots on the ground to serve our customers. Second, we need to get our technical staff spending more time in the field and less in the office, because we can remove some administrative burdens. Got to do it within policy, of course, but we think that there's ways to find some ways to reduce some paperwork and save some of that time. We got to figure out a way to expand and improve administrative support. We know there's going to be technologies that are going to come along and help us be able to get us more in the field. And finally, there's probably going to be ways that we can use telework and other things to reduce travel time. The third key point was we need to work with our partners to find ways to provide full-time administrative staff in each field office. Right now, some of our staff feel like they can't go to the field. Our technical staff are in the office, answering the phone, dealing with walk-in traffic and things like that, when really we need them out working one-on-one with producers. So if we can find that way to provide that administrative support in the office, it would allow our technical folks to get to the countryside.
From these key points, the vision of our conservation delivery system in South Dakota evolved. This is the strategies that we came to feel that was important or came to the top. 1, maintain a local presence. We have got to maintain a local presence in our conservation districts to deliver our conservation message. Secondly, in order to get that conservation message out, we have got to provide a full-time administrative support. If we maintain the administrative support in the office, we can get our technical people, the conservation technicians, the DCs, back in the field. That's where the conservation is, or back into helping our clientele. It doesn't have to be a rural only. Let's expand. Why not walk into or work into the urban area? Also, it was felt that we need to use all of the technology that's available to us. I don't care if you use the GPS, the Trimbles, the Twitter, the YouTube, everything out there we need. But you know what? In listening to these people, I have found, or I've come back to the thoughts, let's start from the beginning where conservation actually started. People talk to each other. We need to get you back in the fields. We need to get back doing field days. We need to be one-on-one. We need to talk to each other. And by talking to each other, getting all of this stuff put together and rethinking what we're doing, we can reduce our costs for our office space. You know, when we started conservation back in the 30s, the reason that we started conservation was this country was blowing apart. Listening and reading about the Dust Bowl and being a product of the Dust Bowl, we needed to put food on the table. We need to get back to the beginning. We need to put conservation on the ground. We need to educate. We need to increase our soil health. We need to feed not only ourselves, but we need to feed America and the world. We can do this. We really can.